TI. He was a large part of the reason Digital Chaos made such a long run.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing game. These players also have a lot of history with each other. We're going to talk all about that maybe after the game. But let's find out what's going to happen in the first game of the series and kick off Evil Geniuses versus Liquid.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Team Liquid's turn to ban.
Hey guys, welcome to the first match of this amazing series. We have some great Dota coming, lots of very high-skilled players, and lots of money on the line. So, can you guys go through some top heroes or drafts you're expecting to see from either teams?
So some top heroes that both teams share are Leshrac and ET. So both heroes really prioritize that hero a lot. And on side of EG, Enchantress is heavily focus that hero. Meanwhile, Liquid they do play Enchantress, but they don't first pick it. So it's interesting to see that aspect. And for Liquid, they play a lot of SD, but EG don't prioritize that hero.
I'm wondering if we're going to see some changes, right? As we saw the secret drafts coming out, and we're seeing a lot of teams now just opening up with Tiny because of what OG's been able to demonstrate with the hero and how dominant it's been because of how people are just abusing Tree Volley and how strong it really is. I'm wondering if maybe we see some priorities shift. We see the Void, that Tiny start being picked up first too by Secret, just prioritizing just having these two. Just seems like things are going to start changing as we get toward the later stages of TIs.
And we know these both mid players, they love Tiny. We have Tiny and Sumer Tiny. He went on 30 kills as TI?
Yep. Yeah. It was 30. It was more than he broke the records. So.
I think, something like that. It was a crazy game. It does get banned out in the first phase, though. I also banned another hero that Liquid's been using maybe the most in the last couple series. OG obviously has been also getting first phase banned against it, but Liquid, the only team running is a support right now, which is weird to say, but that's the reality.
I wonder if Chen also comes back in, right? Because EG, they don't really play Chen, but Liquid does, right? So I think that's another one that I'm also looking at that could sneak in, that I know Kuroki really likes to play around when they have that Tusk plus the Chen and they can just make a lot of aggressive moves. So I do think there's a lot of variety we could see coming out in these two drafts.
And now you bring up the fact that Liquid plays Chen, but EG doesn't. It feels like EG's whole ban stage, other than the Tiny, of course, it feels like there's more bans that they have to use that their opponents can just ignore and let through. ET, also very, very strong, but easy to take that hero out.
Yeah. Yep. The decision now, right? There's the Chen. I kind of had a feeling that they would take it out because you don't want to get just, I wouldn't call it cheese anymore at this point, right? But it's just this super dominant hero that can somehow just take over games, and if you're not prepared for it, you could just straight up lose. And I had Chen as one of my most banned heroes actually because I thought this was just going to take over from a lot of teams because it can just change the way the Dota is played entirely.
So right now, unless they have a complete new strategy from both teams, I think both teams are looking at SD and Leshrac.
Yeah, I agree.
5 seconds remaining.
SD Lash probably look the Maranas maybe slipping in, and yeah, Liquid. I think that's a better approach than even leaving it in. Sumail I think plays the best Lash. I think Sumail and maybe are the best Lashes in the world for me. So I think just taking him a little bit out of a comfort zone can.
Yeah, especially Sumail with that movement speed build. I think he created. He's a really beast on the hero.
Yeah, it feels like Lesh is too dominant of a hero to let through, and he kind of works in so many different situations, whereas SD is more, I shouldn't say situational, because he is very good consistently, but he definitely counters some lineups more than others, so it makes sense to ban the Lesh.
Lesh is just really flexible. You can run him in every role, while SD he's a support. He's always going to be a 4 or 5.
So that's their first pick. Very good laning hero, very strong defensive abilities, which counters some of the strong teamfight things like Faceless Void that we've been seeing heavily.
Yeah, for the past few games, EG hasn't prioritized this hero, but I think it's like a deny pick because Wicked loves this hero.
Totally agree.
I mean, it's time for EG to get with the picture, right? It's clearly one of the best supports. Might as well grab it. Does this prevent Liquid from grabbing something like Faceless Void?
I'm thinking they could still do something like a Gyro +1 or the Void +1. Just because of the last series, right? We're seeing just the way TI ends up happening, these shifts of drafts and priorities.
Because you don't want to be left behind by the meta, right? Like if you don't stay up to date with what the best heroes are and abuse them in the strongest ways, boom, you're out of TI. So maybe more pressure to grab them.
They could also look at the Mirana, or they could look maybe to give the Mirana and go for a combo breaker themselves and maybe get a Tide Hunter early on, because I've seen a lot of teams doing that when the SD is left in the pool. Even though SD's kind of good versus it with the Soul Catcher chunking him down, it does prevent you from doing that. They will take that Mirana away.
It's a classic rolling combo, Mirana over.
Yep.
pretty effective as offlane hero, also functions as a support if needed, and helps to amplify your carry later on as well.
Yeah, very strong dueling. Lots of laning power, lots of kill power throughout the game, but I'm kind of worried because SD is a very good combo breaker, so he might be able to save that single target, whatever the Liquid go on.
Yeah, I feel like it's rare to see Shadow Demon on the opposite side of the Mirana because it does seem like the obvious counter, but I mean, if Liquid doesn't take the Mirana, EG takes it, and then they'll turn around and do an easy setup. So in some ways, Liquid kind of forced to grab the Mirana. Not that it's bad.
Yeah, so Liquid has to follow the picks up by like picking heroes that can go on multiple targets at once, because SD is just gonna save the one target that Liquid is gonna go on.
I actually really like this pick. I was going to suggest that if they don't actually take the Kunkka here, they're going to have to ban it in the 4th and 5th. So this, I feel like, is not only really good that works with the Shadow Demon, but it also takes it away from Liquid being able to set up. As we've seen, like the ODs and the Kunkkas, I think every time that Mirana is opened up, we see OD and Kunkka banned out because it's just so easy to set up those and just ruin the opposing mid laner's game. So the Kunkka does take it out. I imagine they're still going to ban the OD.
And TA maybe.
And the TA, yeah.
Does Kunkka picking this early leave you at a disadvantage in any way? Because normally we don't really see it that often in first phase, at least not since the group stage.
I think it's a hero that can still be flexible, because I do think that this hero can be played in an offlane role, can be played not great in a support role, but there's possibilities.
When you're first pick, you kind of want to pick your mid hero early too, because you have the second ban phase to protect that mid ban, and you're not going to last pick your mid anyways. It's going to get countered, so you just want to pick it early. Some hero that can like go even at the very like least, which I think Kuka can do. And you want to like use the second pick phase to counter those side lanes.
Turn to ban.
I like that.
Why is this Fen ban good thing?
Oh, I meant Febby's point.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Febby. Good
Yes,
point.
Yes.
There's the TA ban you guys said.
This is Fen.
It's one of like RTZ's 3 most played carry heroes. RTZ loves Naga, Sven, Lifestealer. There was one more I forgot. Yeah.
Whenever they ban these Svens and these cleaving heroes, it always is going to be like setting up in the back of your mind. It's like, Weeha, Meepo, Weeha, something like one of these heroes that can kind of cheese. We'll say cheese, but these heroes that can just run rampant if you don't have some type of hero counter in the game.
What about something like Wraith King? Wraith King didn't get banned here. Was a big ban last game.
I love that hero, but I don't see like I haven't seen EG play it. I mean, it's not a hard hero, I guess. But
they ban out the Weeha Timbersaw. So they're trying to secure that Kunkka to have a good lane. That's an interesting one. Does that mean they want something like the Terrorblade for RTZ?
They can. There's a lot of single target from Liquid side, so TV does look good, especially paired with the SD.
That's what I'm thinking as well, because otherwise, like the Timbersaw ban is a little bit strange to me. So I am thinking that they're looking for one for that hero, at least for RTZ.
Feels like for once when we get the second phase of bans, they don't have all of these like hard counters. So they're picking hard counters to the heroes they're planning to pick, rather than covering their existing heroes for once.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely.
The scary side of picking more single target heroes for Liquid is EG. They don't play it a lot, but I've seen occasional brood coming out of Smears. You have to be aware of that too, because I know S4 can play Kunkka.
That is also, that's very, very true. We saw teams doing that a lot in the group stages, right? They would open up with the Kunkka, and then it's like, oh god, the fear of the brood.
Yeah,
it could come.
Over Mirana is very strong, but you got to remember, there's not a lot of team fight. It's a single targets.
Yeah.
Alchemist stand. Another cool thing about the Kunkka in the first phase, very good against Mirana. Well,
Yes.
Very easy to catch her. Guarantee kills. Tide is the pick for Liquid though.
Combo breaker versus Shadow Demon. I think we've seen a lot of teams doing that, if we were mentioning earlier on. And in the lore, right, for Slacks versus the Just kidding.
That's like lore 101. That's like way too simple for
Yeah,
him
I
to
know,
care
that's
about that
true.
stuff. He needs the deep stuff that no one knows.
That's actually a very good point.
EG might be thinking of picking illusion heroes such as Naga TV just to like split them up, because Liquid's split push game is not that great, and catch too, like sure you have Ogre Mirana, but there's a SD disruption and it's gonna be very hard to catch because you can't push out waves properly against illusions.
With the Tide pick as well, probably means Ogre as a support, most likely. Don't think the Tide support is super effective myself. Is there anything they can exploit there against that? I mean, obviously Ogre's very tanky, but
no, I mean, Ogre support's super solid. I think the Tide Hunter is also a incredibly good hero, as we've seen throughout this. And I think, like Febby was saying, they have a lot of single target on Liquid. I think the Tide Hunter was just like covering their bases to have that team fight. So that looks like it's. I mean, it's probably crit Lina.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think that's also still relatively flexible, but I think that's more than likely what we will be seeing.
Well, what tells you that? I mean, Smail played Lina yesterday, for example.
I know he really likes the hero, and it's just a strong like dual laner. If you are like laned with anybody, you're just able to put a lot of pressure. He's just a big fan of it, and it can match up like the ogre, very strong laner. Lina can sit back very far away, and you can actually get that harassment onto him.
Yep, that's another hero to set up stunts with, either X or disruption.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't see a safe lane carry hero from Liquid, so I think EG wanted to save the S4's hero, the position 3 heroes, because he wants to counter the whatever they pick next, because it's gonna most likely gonna be a carry. So I think that's why they picked the S4 crit Lina. It's like kind of an all-rounder, fits into like most of the situations, can lane well with a lot of the off lanes.
More team fight coming in for Liquid, picking up that Void now.
I feel like Void's been the trending carry hero of the main stage so far. It's not in every game, but it is in a lot of the games, it feels like.
So Omni is pretty good here. What else is good? Maybe Underlord?
10 seconds remaining.
What's a S4 hero?
What about
5 seconds
Pug?
remaining.
Nah.
I think they need a frontline tanky hero who can get team fight items,
that's true.
especially with Lina and SD. So Omni, Pitlord.
Interesting how they also. I think that could also be like, not 100%, but could be a taking pick from EG, right? Taking the Void. I know I'm looking more so along like the Arteezy heroes, but we've seen a lot of teams when they pick Tidehunter, the other team picks either Enigma or Void to counter him because you can't be able to dispel those. So maybe a slight amount there, even though I don't know if EG was even going to be going for that hero.
I mean, Liquid's lineup looks really scary now, I must say. Everyone's super tanky. They've got Chronosphere into arrows. They've got lots of different ways to stun into arrows.
I like it
has
because
saves, but
there's a lot of like saves and team fights from EG. Liquid, yes, they do have team fight too, but there's no save. So if they can get on top of Void somehow, then it's gonna be very hard to save it.
They're going to need like the counter initiation from the Tidehunter for the most part, if that is the case.
Team Liquid's turn to ban.
So they're actually going to go for the Lifestealer here early on.
It's protected against the Mirana arrow. That's one thing.
Yeah, you have your Rage always to be able to protect yourself.
Not always the safest against getting Chronosphered. With SD behind him, it should be alright.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Picking that Lifestealer into the Void.
I mean, if anybody knows a good lifestealer game, it should be Arteezy, right? So
Very true.
yeah, I'm just a support player. I think he knows like what he's doing on that hero. He's been playing it throughout the whole year, maybe 2. So
Maybe that can allow to open up to save S4's hero as well. Maybe the Kunkka we could see still some swaps coming out where they want to lane the hero too. So maybe, but
Do you think it's worth doing something like Night Stalker, like we saw earlier today? Against like, I feel like Liquid pretty vulnerable to AoE silences. I mean, I guess they'll get BKBs at some point, and then it won't be as effective. But
I guess that is another option versus Tidehunter that maybe people haven't explored too much, right? That crippling fear always being applied to him, but I'm not sure if I'd see that style for EG.
so Liquid bans out S4's hero, Omni Knight.
Yeah, I think the Omni was a great suggestion.
so now they got to go for some worse choice. Once we're forgetting something, I'm sure we're not. Though.
I think EG Liquid needs some damage. Weeha hero or damage hero in the chrono, because right now they don't have a lot of damage in the chrono. They kind of lack damage, basically.
5 seconds.
And it's going to be coming out from Weeha.
Throwback Weeha here. I mean, Invoker comes to mind.
Yeah, Invoker sounds good. Tinker sounds good. These like flashy mid-type heroes that inputs a lot of damage.
I'm just worried after I saw those like matchups yesterday versus the Invokers. But it could still be a possibility.
Only 10 seconds left here for the ban on
Yeah,
EG.
they're running low.
I'd be very excited to see some Weeha Invoker actually.
Right? Doesn't that sound hype?
That sounds pretty hype.
The game goes late game. They've got Ravage. They've got Chrono. They've got all that kind of stuff to set up
So
for
they
it.
do ban the OD.
Liquid's
I think that would have been the better one. And they will go for that tanky frontline hero for S4. That's Centaur. Should be able to have a good lane as well too. He's just versus like a Void and an Ogre. He's gonna get back up from the Lina. So now they have a lot of stun, a lot of chain ways to lock down heroes. In particular, the Void, like we were mentioning, there's no save really for him. Liquid has counter initiation, but this could be lots of combo stuns to kill him.
Liquid really lacks damage right now, I think.
Yeah.
The Kunkka's boot drum, the Centaur's axe, if it gets to that stage, SD can save. There's not a lot of damage in the chrono.
What else is sticking out for Weehaw? I mean, I'm still thinking like he might even just play like a Wind Ranger or something, but I'm thinking Volker, because they need damage. They need things to throw into that Chronosphere as well. And it's going to be the Tinker. Good call, Femi.
Thank you.
Yeah, can't pick a Wind Ranger against SD, that's for sure. Interesting on the Tinker, though.
It's won 100% of the 100% games, I think, so far.
How many times has it been picked?
I think 3 or 4. Okay, actually.
It's been picked quite some time, but not a lot.
Well, some interesting picks so far, but right before we get into the match, we're going to hear the last word with Nahas.
Coming into this series, so important that we talk about Sumail. He's having one of the best performances of his young career in this tournament. You look at averages at the 12-minute mark. He is in the top 10 in the tournament in average kills, deaths, last hits, and net worth at that crucial 12-minute mark, the end of the laning phase. There's only one other player in the tournament in the top 10 in even 2 of these 4 categories, and the early game going to be pivotal in this matchup. When you look at the hero picks, EG have built their draft around this Kunkka. Kunkka is 10-3 in games that end before the 35-minute mark, only 13-16 in games that go past that mark, whereas Tide on the side of EG, he is on the side of Liquid rather, he's 6-8 in sub 35-minute games. He is going to be 16-6 in games that go past that. Guys, we got the premier matchup in Western Dota 2 on tap for you. Who better to bring it to you than the OG casting duo? Here are Toby One and Cinderin.
With the original G, we can fill in what that means later on. Myself and Sin, yeah, let's get it on. We've got, what a matchup. I get to have a Tinker as well. I'm very happy about that one. Nahaz
like
was, I actually really enjoy Tinker. I love this like global maneuver and just combination. You're surprised?
No, unsurprising.
Unsurprising.
Very unsurprising.
Sorry, he's a mech, right? He's a goblin mech.
It falls into the category of heroes you would like, so not too surprising. Yeah, these strategies, it's very clear what the development toward the later stages of this tournament has been, right? We're getting a lot of team fight out of teams. We're getting plenty of stun, we're getting scalable heroes, and we're getting a tanky frontliner. Both teams with a tanky frontline that also has team fight in the Tide and the Centaur. Super late game scaling heroes such as Lifestealer and Tinker, and even the Kunkka also scales pretty well, but like Nahas pointed out, not as well as some other heroes. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that there's a lot of similarities in the approach to the game from these teams, but there are some pretty clear differences in the longevity of the picks, if you could call it that, in the game, like how long they stay relevant for. I think this is a pretty incredible Tinker game if Weehaw gets off to a good start. They have very limited catch. The only real way they have of finding Tinker is a Tinker Ward into X-Mark, or maybe a Lens Lina stun or a Centaur Dagger, but there's none of those like classic flat-out give vision heroes like Zeus or Spectre.
But you have other ways around it that we can itemize, right? Like you can look to the yields, look towards the blink, and just get the right timing to avoid the pullback. How does the lane actually work? Because like Nahas was focusing very heavily on Sumail being one of the greatest players, and he definitely has been performing very well throughout this TI. How does the matchup actually work between Kunkka as well as Tinker? Getting Wee off to a good start or getting Sumail off to a good start?
Oh, arrow bottom. Nice sidestep from Crit. That was hot. Yeah. I don't have too much experience with this matchup, actually. I feel like it should be relatively even, maybe slightly Tinker favored, and that's all that Tinker wants. I mean, of course, it's great if you can stomp your lane, right? But most mid heroes in the current meta don't really get destroyed anymore. We don't see these extremely one-sided mid matchups, at least we haven't lately. But what Tinker wants is he wants to get levels, he wants to get a decent amount of farm, and then he's going to go and semi-jungle anyway with March of the Machines. So we'll see who gets to stack for him.
I don't know if people can actually pick that up with the microphone, but this crowd actually started to go, oh, because Sumail got the block and kept the creep wave on the slide high ground for the very beginning. They're watching this mid very, very closely too. Bottom lane, a lot of trouble for S4, trying to retreat. Kuro, Miracle, and GH all together under the tower. S4 cannot tank through this. Miracle will spill the first blood, getting Liquid off to a good start.
And in the meantime, Crit was pulling the wave, so S4 probably could have maybe avoided this death, playing a little bit safer. But he will rejoin the lane. Top lane 1-on-2 for Tidehunter against the Shadow Demon as well as Lifestealer. Curious to see if Mind Control chooses to skill up Kraken Shell as a solution for this harassment from the Shadow Demon. For now, he's holding his skill point, and now he will be getting help. So Mirana showing up from GH, wants to arrow the Arteezy. I don't know if he was going for that, if he wanted the big creep. I think he wanted the big creep.
He was trained by Angelina Jolie just around the corner of the creep to hit Arteezy.
doesn't hurt him too much. He has the stout shield, so
God.
tanking the creeps is not too bad.
Miracle's copying so much damage on bottom lane. You may have to already burn this Sal, be switching it in. S4 and crit. Nice double stun combination. Now that the Mirana has left the lane, maybe EG feel a little bit more safer.
And this is the kind of lane you want against Void, right? The thing, you want one of two things actually. The might stun combo in the is Centaur's not level 2 yet. So you want one of two things against Void. Either you want consistent harassment over time so that he can't time walk it. Like a great example that's easy to understand is like Venomancer, right? Like you just keep hitting the guy over time, he can't really time walk it because it's non-stop damage. The other one is having serious bursts where you, if you have him down to 2/3, if you can kill him off in one go before he gets the time walk off, that's what Centaur Lina can do. They have so much damage between the two of them when they have retaliate stacks. And Crit's probably going to force a time walk here. Every stun he connects in a couple of attacks is like 150, 200 damage, and Miracle will want to time walk that, and that means he's exposed for a bit. Or Kuro is. This could be a kill.
And with the hoof stomp, the damage is high. Kuro, 60 HP, had a couple of stick charges. Gets him back underneath the tier 1 tower, and Miracle got to dodge that Light Strike array, but you said that harass damage, chip down is working. Miracle, very low on life, and Crit wants to go for more, looking for a second Light Strike array, consuming the Mango. Thankfully, Crit is not taking any damage from the tower. It's just the creep wave that's allowing him to do that dive.
He is playing really aggressively. This is exactly how you play this lane as Lina. It's a hero I've been playing a lot myself lately. I love it as a position 4, and this is exactly what makes the hero so good. There are very few heroes in this game that feel like they can out-harass Ogre from the 4 position, but Lina can do it when she hits level 2. You keep throwing Light Strike arrays, it's a low cooldown, 7 seconds on all levels, and then you can just keep attacking with the Fiery Soul. And even the fat Ogre has to yield.
And with Ogre yielding, it means that Faceless Void is actually getting very little CS. He's 8 for 2. Compare that to the Lifestealer. In the safe lane, Arteezy's got 20 for 2. And then the mid lane, Sumail, CS-wise, well ahead. 22 for 5 versus 12 for 2. And now he's even looking for the stack. Sumail's going to steal it. He takes so much of this. Weehaw put 2 points up in the march, and she said he wants to move back into the jungle and farm up. The Sumail's watching it. He knows.
Okay, I can't tell you if this is the expected outcome, but let's remember Liquid had last pick. So they specifically picked this Tinker into Kunkka. If he gets doubled up on CS, he's either getting flat out outplayed or they picked him a really bad matchup.
And it's not just in the CS too, like you think, okay, it's a couple of neutrals that's amplifying the score up a little bit more, and it sort of is, but it's still about 600 net worth, the difference between them. Control trying to outrun the top, he'll be fine, he's a tank, he's got 8 stick charges thanks to all the Shadow Poison that Fly's been throwing out. And this still looks like, overall, the gold advantage is there for EG. We're coming up to around the 5-minute mark, where the runes will start to spawn up and we'll start to see the priorities from these teams. But at the moment, EG still hold the top 2 net worths.
Yep.
The only real sacrifice is Fly.
What runes can you fight for, though? The Shadow Demon is going to probably skill Disruption against Mind Control top to get both runes, and bottom runes, maybe you can get one. I don't think they'll get both of them.
Mind Control's even taking the creep wave with him.
Never mind.
Maybe a little bit more difficult. Bounty will take the first one. Mind Control's in a little bit too deep with the open wounds. Trying to outrun both Fly and Arteezy. Damn, he's tanky, and they don't do a lot of damage until the poison stacks up. A quick disruption. Arteezy still wants to kill. Sumail's moving over. A Torrent will set Mind Control up. He still grabs the bounty rune, but he'll lose his life for it.
I think he's pretty happy with that, actually, on Tide. He's only level 4. He gets the rune. Shadow Demon uses all of his resources. And he didn't really lose too many creeps top. Arteezy was also leaving to join for the kill, so it's a pretty even trade overall.
So GH and Kuro want to have a crack at crit. But the Dire Observer from EG just sees way too much. So they buff up Miracle with the Bloodlust crit, playing the trees perfectly. That's what the Dire Observer doesn't see, however. Only sees the trees to the side.
Miracle needs to be careful here. He's actually in range of dying now. He's for dead.
Great crit positioning. So good. It's like Miracle was just trying to beat down S4 to open up the opportunity for Kuro and GH, and now he just dies straight out.
He basically just fed S4 a lot of retaliate stacks and didn't account for the potential Lina in the trees. Very nicely played there by Crit to hide around there. Miracle was trying to get as much out of that as possible, but was not seeing that Lina coming, and now Lina might even be getting more. There's a connection down from Shadow Demon. This is a dead Ogre.
And catch him out right on top of the Shrine to work with Fly. And, well, Shrine is out. Arrow flies forward. A quick movement forward from Crit. Dodges it from GH. He'll jump in for the Starfall. And there is a lot of life on Ogre. Crit's now very low. GH able to work with him at the same time.
a region bottom. How nice.
Even better for Sumail.
He's going to be loving that. Not sure he knew that Rune was here when he started going for this play, but I think he did. I think they saw it on the way with Shadow Demon. So, a lot of pressure into Tinker, but he doesn't die. He comes back into the mid lane. And he's going to start farming and pushing out again. But now he's 1,000 gold behind, so this is not how... I want to say with pretty high confidence that this is not how this lane should go. It should be better for Tinker. Maybe I'm wrong about him drawing, but losing by 1k at 7 minutes without a kill?
It feels like, oh man, bottom lane, Sumail actually is the torrent timing. Miracle can't jump away, and Sumail 4 points up in Tiebringers, more than enough to crit through Miracle. But I'm kind of with you on that point where it's like, yeah, you feel like it should have gone better, but it feels like there should have also been someone to work with Weehart to actually gank it up. But these supports from Team Liquid, it's like there's been no presence, just a straight one-on-one duel so far, and when that happens, Sumail always seems to come out on top.
Yeah, they committed a lot of their time from their supports to protecting Miracle in this bottom lane because it is a dangerous lane for him playing against the Centaur Lina. And that obviously means that there's nobody able to put on the pressure in mid.
Sumail battling on bottom, S4, he'll tank the arrow with the Starfall. The boat's already coming in, so S4 doesn't really care. He can regen, he's got a lot of armor. Good leap away from GH, but does not have a second one, however. They'll banish him up. Fly has arrived in the bottom lane.
With honor.
And Sumail will be the one to get the kill on GH. 4 heroes from Evil Geniuses find their way on the bottom lane because they're fine without TZ being on top because no one can really contest the life stealer. No one does enough physical damage to bring him down.
It's a very easy lane. You can just farm up here. Tide is going to cut waves. Life is going to free farm. Every time the hard camp spawns, our TZ will want to go into that one and farm that as well. You can use him best for it if he wants to be extra efficient. But actually somebody wants to get involved with killing the Tide.
Can't TP out when you got a Conquer there. X marks the spot, already out crit. He's holding the Light Strike Array until Mind Control comes back. And that's what happens with the Tart into the Light Strike Array. Mind Control's brought down. BG are not wanting to give any kind of safe space to Team Liquid at all. Every lane cannot go the way you think it can. There's no time to breathe.
And that's definitely a weakness Liquid's lineup has right now in the state of the game, right? Their lineup it's greedy. It's a Tinker mid, it's a Void safe lane, and it's a Tide off lane. 2 heroes with big level 6 cooldowns that they kind of want to use on just single small kills. And then this Tinker who needs a lot of time and space, especially after losing the lane. So it makes the map nice to play for EG for now. The timing Liquid is looking for is much later than this, so as long as they can stay afloat, defend their towers, and get a couple of bounty runes every 5 minutes, things are not looking too bad for them, but you got to be careful to not give away too much.
Radiant's top tower.
Sumail's going to battle for the 10-minute rune. Tide, nothing to do there. But yeah, straight 2-2 trade-off. They're seeing a very large stack inside the Dire jungle. Trying to steal some of S4's farm. It is Ancients. That's not what Liquid can really take care of.
Yeah, Tinker can't steal that. The only hero that can steal the Ancients is Tide, but it takes really long. And he has no way of really getting over there right now. So that stack is pretty safe. Kunkka will be farming it up later for sure. Working on, first I have Halberd. Sumail in this game. Thought maybe he'd go the Radiance build. He's going Halberd to minimize Void's impact. Weeha's in trouble.
X marked up. Even under the March of the Machines, EG won't care. They'll step in the boat. Kuro and GH will arrive. Weeha, the Poison and the Slave, able to pick off him. Underneath the tower, Mind Control, huge ravage. Connects over on 4. A stampede. EG to get out, Gel break up in the corner. Miracle, he's arrived. Defensive disruption from Fly. It'll buy a little bit of time for Sumail, but not enough. The Starfall from GH once again there. The supports find the kills. A quick anchor smash, no gush. Now it's only leveled up. Fly is slowing down. Time walks off cooldown. 3 seconds time. The arrow looking to fly forward as well, but it's all Fly jumping in, able to get the hit from Miracle. No way to be protected underneath that tier 2 tower as Team Liquid will now actually look to take that tier 1 tower in mid. Weeha will have to do defense work against S4, who's been pressuring that bottom tower. A Centaur not joining the fight. What a surprise.
Liquid brought their whole family mid and used all of their ultis, so now they need to get the hell out of here. There's nothing left to fight with. They got a big chunk out of the mid tower though, even S4 TPing over to try and defend, but the tower's now in deny range, and you would imagine they might just deny it up right now. No, they're currently leaving it. Maybe as bait, maybe they didn't realize. I think EG is going to use to at least get the bottom tower, maybe get some good damage on the mid, invade the jungle, try to get aggressive wards out so they can punish the Tinker while he's farming. But for now, it's all safe for Liquid.
Weehouse farm's going to become a little bit easier for them. Oh, nice Torrent, X-Mark, Light Strike Array, and no follow-up.
Yeah, Weehouse managed to defend bottom, so very good movement from Liquid here with bringing all these heroes in. Now they have downtime for a minute, which I think
The tier 1 tower, but the BTs are completed for Tinker. 12 minutes into the game, doesn't have a soul ring, at least has the bottle to work with. So it's not the most efficient Tinker just yet, but at least it's a global Tinker.
he'll have the soul ring really soon.
Dire
Sitting on level 11. It's the same level as Sumail. After losing the lane, he has caught up from that fight in mid where Sumail ended up dying.
And the only thing difference is the net worth. If he had a whole bunch of stacks, and this would be chased up a lot faster, but Sumail's almost playing like Weeha's playing an Alchemist. Always invading the jungle, making sure there's no stacks available, and they're checking both the southern as well as the northern Radiant jungles.
He's going to be farming up some nice stacks here too now. All of the stuff that EG prepared over here is just ready for Sumail to take. He's going to start cleaving the Ancients. Maybe he'll stack this camp. I think he mistimed it a little bit. It's all right. And I don't know about this Halberd build. I'm not sure if it's the right approach to this game. It's good against Void early on, with the disarm inside the Chronosphere and the evasion.
Radiant are scanning.
Obviously, a lot of stats for Kunkka. Getting strength is really nice, but you're taking this over a Radiance build, right? So I guess they want Arteezy to get Radiance for sure, and Kunkka feels like this is the second best item build he can go in this game. Could have thought about maybe taking an armlet approach that would build into the classic Kunkka build with armlet crit. The Halberd is also stable.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
See how effective it can be. We'll watch the fight closely.
Dire's top tower is under
And
attack.
we'll see where he also wants to go next. S4's just doing his work to finish up. Well, he's got Bracer and Blink queued up, but the money is so close he may actually get that Blink dagger by 15 minutes. May need a little extra cover fire on the bottom lane as Weeha's pushing it back with the March of the Machines.
And it's really going to be the name of the game, this Tinker, right? Like you wanna place wards that can find Tinker. Killing this hero is really impactful in the game because he's such a nuisance all the time pushing out your lanes. So you have to kind of mind game him, make him feel safe in an area that he's not safe in, have some high ground wards that catch him off guard, and then your reward for killing him will be getting a tower. Because something that Liquid don't have too much of just yet is damage. Their lineup doesn't hit that hard.
Tower is under attack.
That's meant to come from the Void, right? Like he's your primary damage dealer.
Eventually he will do a lot of damage, right? But Void is one of those carries that he has Bloodlust, it definitely helps. But he doesn't deal these ridiculous amounts of damage until he gets multiple items.
It's not like he has the combination we saw earlier today, like this Faceless Void and Tree. Like the never-ending volley into Chronosphere gave all the damage they required.
Scanning.
Tinker can kind of work that way against non-BKB heroes, but again, he needs items. And that's okay for Liquid so far. Like the game plan is progressing, maybe slightly worse than they had planned, but there's definitely still in an okay position. I think both teams, if they saw the state of the game right now, they would feel like it's relatively even. I think EG are ahead on gold for sure, but
it's 49 to 51%.
Oh, that is really even.
Yeah.
Actually.
You're getting the right feeling, Sind. It looks like Team Liquid want to try and add some pressure up on top. I've had my control with a couple of great Ravages already, especially that one in mid lane.
Now Sumail's building in farm loot.
Okay.
So I wanted the Halberd first, just for the immediate value against the Void. No, he's going for the damage.
So
he obviously had the
he gets
alternative.
Armlet as well as Halberd because you're getting the Radiance over on the Life Stealer.
That was the exact thing, right? I was thinking maybe they could do it the other way around, but I guess they want to make Arteezy just as much of a carry as possible. They could have
infest him up, hoof stomp forward. Arteezy, who actually is moving up towards the top lane as My Control and S4 battling. Whereas EG is there, as Arteezy, who's not there. He's the one inside the jungle, but they'll still catch out My Control. He'll end up just tanking him for the team. TP is not available, it got cancelled. Try and battle it out in the tree line, but eventually dropping down.
It's my soulmate.
Because it was Sumail who got the kill as well. I mean, Kunkka.
Did you hear the way Tide yelled it? That's how you pronounce it. You're welcome.
Kunkka.
Kunkka.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's also Visage, right?
A little bit of trivia, of course. Kunkka is a hero named after one of the biggest artists of Dota in the old Dota in Warcraft 3. One of the original artists that did a lot of the loading screens. Kunkka has also made art and item sets designs in Dota 2, actually. That's the guy, the hero is named after.
You are
Way
a
of saying
mountain of
thank you
knowledge, but
from-
let's start the team fight, right? Crit caught over on the side. Rocket's going to connect, giving Weehan the kill. Now the battle from range begins.
Oh,
The
just at
Chrono,
the end.
it just caught Arteezy on the edge. The bow's coming in, so it's a defensive disruption. A quick push away as Miracle finds himself disarmed. A lot of big abilities burnt out by EG. What are they going to get in return? Kuro looks to be in the force up, trying to get them a little bit further down. The illusions will be cleaned off.
Bit surprised to see Arteezy rotating for this. You usually don't see Lifestealer do kind of anything outside of farming until Radiance. A little bit reminiscent of yesterday where he tried to maybe get involved a little too early on his anti-mage in the game against OG in game 3. And probably better off just farming up this full Radiance and then thinking about joining his team for the moves. And armlet completed.
Now it's Team Liquid who wants to assault the EG jungle. Mind Control is just doing a little bit of a walkabout. They know all the lanes will push in anyway. That's what just happens with the Tinker. But they want to find up on top. S4 is itching with Hoof Stomp Blink. GH gonna find him. Hoof Stomp actually just goes to clean up the wave instead. But Liquid aren't done. They could bring the Tinker back. Mind Control, as well as Kuro has arrived.
Don't have Chrono though. It's hard times to fight when you don't have Chrono in the enemy. Oh, Miracle.
Oh, he just used
he's
his
in
time walk
trouble.
as well. Try and dilate them up, and maybe if the Sunchain's gonna be perfect, EG, they will claim the kill on Miracle. And S4 jumping himself forward up the hill, and then in range of Kuro's Polycast Sun and the arrow, combining with the Ravage. They'll layer it, but the damage is still there. Flying Sumail being interrupted by that Ravage. And under the Moonlight Shadow, Liquid want to keep moving forward. Crit able to look for the stun, but he can't keep hitting the target because he can't see it. Meanwhile, Weeha gives the cover of the March to the Machines. Arteezy once again rotating to try and be part of this fight, but there's nothing he can do.
Yeah, the fight is already over when he arrived, so this is a bit more efficiency lost. Yeah, could be farming up that little bit faster. It's not the end of the world, but when this happens a couple of times in a row, you're starting to reach the point where maybe you could have had a 1 minute earlier Radiance, and that could perhaps lose you a team fight at some point. So you gotta keep up that efficiency. It's something a lot of the commentators have been giving a player like Hector a lot of praise for from Infamous, who are now knocked out in 7th, 8th position
Dire's bottom
after they
tower
lost to
is
Secret
under
earlier today. Was Hector has been extremely efficient at farming the map. And Arteezy has generally been considered like the pinnacle of farming patterns. Like he has been extremely good at being super efficient around the map, but in the later stages of this tournament, I feel like his efficiency has dropped that just a tiny little bit compared to what we usually see. Wants to get involved, wants to play that team game, but yeah, now the Radiance is up. Now I would like to see him join some more moves.
Yeah. Then he can actually start comboing with S4. That's why it's like,
Yep.
you hear the Infest and then the fight happen up on top lane. It's like, oh, he's getting inside of S4, get that quick pop and move on to another target. But now, at least when Radiance is up, he can jump inside of S4 and they have that combination, the delivery system for the Lifestealer to get him the early kill and then the advantage in the fight for EG. So 20-minute Radiance. The bounty runes will be a straight 2-2 split.
I like the items that both teams are planning, really. Tide, first of all, got this pipe for the immediate value and the force staff on Mirana to disengage from the Centaur jumps. And EG are planning on getting Greaves on Lina currently with a pipe on the Centaur. So they get all these auras up so that they hit a strong mid-game timing where they can win team fights. Good damage mid onto Mind Control, but
it's the combination we're looking for. The damage is setting up. Sumail's throwing out a couple of abilities just to try and chip him down. There's no Ravage for 20 seconds. He's going to complete the TP out. S4's, he's covered under Invis. So no smoke break. But Weeha's not coming to the mid lane. In fact, he's pushing out the bottom instead. And underneath the Radiant Observer and Sentry, now Team Liquid will Moonlight Shadow. They were hoping to kill off Crit. And this gank that EG has set up faces forward. He jumps over S4. He only had half a second. He turns around. The Hookstone won't connect.
that wasn't going to matter anyway. He was in Moonlight.
Yep.
They couldn't have killed him, so okay. Well,
And Miracle saw him for a half second. The Sentry Ward on the low ground, I believe, actually just showed S4. That's why Miracle took 2 steps backwards.
and with this game just slowing down and not too much happening, you've got to feel good for Liquid right now. Tinker had a hard start. He's now almost top of the net worth. The Void is getting good items. The Tide, as we talked about, has what they need to defend right now, and that's really what it comes down to is, EG, can you push some towers or not? You need to get through Tide, you need to get through Tinker. It's really, really difficult. They don't have the best siegers either. On top of all the good defense, their offense isn't great.
They need picks, right? Like that's why they set up for it in mid. Like they know they need to find a kill, then you can push a tower. And that tier 1 tower is on almost no life, but maybe as you were saying, like Liquid know, like how does EG push in? We won't even deny our mid tower.
Crit got arrow, but
He's a long way away.
no follow-up on that. They're not interested in it, so back to farming we go. Push out the waves. Tinker's gonna farm some jungle with... That's kind of the extra benefit Tinker has. When he's done a good job pushing out the lanes, he will expect the enemy team to go and defend their lanes, and that's when he can get an extra jungle camp or 2 in for that added efficiency.
It's been a really good recovery for him. Still about, actually something like 500, 600 gold. Behind TI 1,000 behind, behind Sumail. New items have arrived. Miracle's got his BKB, still amping up more of his damage. And what are you really getting in return? The armor's about to be completed up for Arteezy. There's a BKB build coming in for Sumail. The pipe is fully done on S4. He's going into the heart of Tarask.
You've got 2 armlets. You want to fight now then. Like these are relative tempo items. It's not like they completely fall off, but you usually when you hit that armlet, you hit a spike in your relative power to the enemy team. Kunkka hasn't really had his be too useful. Now that they have 2, you really want to get involved in something. But it's just tough. Like pushing towers is really hard. Invading the enemy safe area in the jungle is hard. So you need to get through either a tide or just an ogre breaking your smoke and dying. Moonlight Shadow is a problem.
It just feels like we've just got a truce. It's like, okay, everyone, things are really difficult to try and find into this. So what are we going to do? All right, let's just build up, like, farm our items. But the cannons are already there. Like, I think I saw, yeah, there's a mech flying out. So Crit's managed to find himself a mech on this support Lina. The blink has arrived for mind control. So the initiation can come in from one side, but then there's always the counter. The health to kick back, the immunity or resistance. There's Tinker wards up, so EG can see when Tinker wants to make his jump. There's no disable items right yet from Weeha. Be it Scythe, be it Yules, be it whatever.
Oh, Miracle, is he going to fall into the Tinker trap here? Oh, they already backed off. They placed the Tinker ward, but don't stay. So.
And the Moonlight Shadow from Liquid is here for the 25-minute bounty rune setup.
And they know the ward is there too. They're pinging it out with the sentry.
This EG going to go to smoke. They do have one over on fly underneath their shrine, so S4 will come in. Smoke well out of vision of Team Liquid. Everyone from Team Liquid is here. BKB now also arrived on Sumail. Yeah, this really does feel like go time. The observer ward's nearby, mind control. They're actually playing Do around the maypole, and maybe Liquid. Well, here he is, Miracle. They get the chrono up. No, they get the whole stop first. In with the torrent. Miracle instantly dead. He can buy back and fight on top of the shrine, but Kuro, he's the next target. They've got enough damage to get through him. One after the other. EG finding Team Liquid players. Mind control becomes the next one. Gets his feet wet with the torrent. Lion Strike Array will also hold him, and X-Mark will bring him back. Mind control for all that tankiness. EG show they have the damage output required.
They'll get 3 kills and 2 bounties. Not finding GH, it looks like, playing in the trees in the bottom. But can they get some meaningful tower damage? S4, he's gonna have 13 retaliate stacks after being hit a couple of times, so I think this tower is going to go down. And that's a very well executed aggressive move from EG here. Oh, Tinker might defend. They're respawning. They back off.
You get all those retaliate stacks, and then it's like, well, like I get hit by laser, or well, how do I actually keep pushing into this lane? March the Machines takes out my wave. So we go back to the status quo. Back to the item farm up. GH, it looks like the supports have to become the medics. He's going for a full Greaves build on this Mirana. Crypt's doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, he's pretty farmed on Lina. He's having a good game. Almost has the same net worth as the enemy Tide Hunter. Only 700 behind him.
Do you actually like him going in for this kind of like medic style build as opposed to having this over on Centaur?
I think Centaur doesn't really want to go Greaves with the face boots first item, right? So he gets the pipe and he'll get something else. He's looking at a heart right now. I think Aghanims is really good this game against Void and Tinker. Keep heroes alive in the Chronosphere, get that extra damage mitigation. So yeah, I kind of like it on Lina. It doesn't. It still feels like a decent duels game though, which is would usually be the other item, but that kind of always feels good. Sometimes you got to try something else. They have other setups. They have Centaur Stomp. They have Shadow Demon Disruption. They have X Mark. So he doesn't need to set himself up for success as much as you would do in many other Lina games.
It feels nice that he could open up the space for S4 to be more dynamic with his item build-up. Like, I can be the frontliner, right?
Yep.
That doesn't have to be Arteezy being focused down by whatever Team Liquid want to build into. But they don't really have items that counter him directly just yet. Even Tinker. Weeha's building for a BKB. A Tinker with no disable outside of the laser.
Yep. He does have decent mana pool because of the Kaya, so
Radiant's middle tower.
you generally don't see BKB built this early because Tinker often needs more mana regen or more mana items in general to be efficient and have a lot of spells in the fight. But the Kaya, as well as the Lens, give him quite a lot of mana, so he can go for that BKB and try to fight. We'll see if he ends up regretting that or not, because it is an early BKB, and it does slow down his item progression for sure. So you imagine they want to fight once he gets it. And as far as tanking his item of choice against Tinker, when this heart comes out, he has so much magical EHP with the pipe and what will probably be around 3,500 hit points when he finishes the heart.
This could be quick. Great scout by Fly. Throws out the Shadow Poison. There's a double damage on Miracle. They've already taken 1/3 of the life off the Tide Hunter. Miracle, he jumps up. He finds Crit. Already going for the quick bashes. And he actually caught Sumail right on the edge of the Chronosphere. The boat will buy some space. They'll bash it. Well, but man, fall! It's a 3-man hoofstop into the back line. Liquid is still trying to fight within the Moonlight Shadow. The Ravage creating space from Mind Control. The Miracle is losing life so quickly. Sumail and Arteezy just focus him down. They'll turn their attention towards Mind Control as he will also fall. They lose S4 in the back lines, Evil Geniuses, but Crit, he's ready to fight again. He's going to find Urgel. Urgel's going to find him, however you look at it. And once again, the sun's just off the mark, but the banishment will be there from Fly. GH will fall. Kuro will go down to the one-man standing as Weeha pushing out the side lanes. But the damage to Roshan was done, so EG, RT's going to head straight into the pit.
Yeah, I don't think Liquid can defend this. The only buyback they have is the Mirana, 30 seconds on her. The first respawning hero will be Void with 15 seconds to go, but has no Chronosphere and has no BKB, so isn't really a threat at all.
So do you want Weeha anywhere near this too?
And that Chronosphere, it's just not good enough. Like, getting one Lina in the enemy jungle who can just buy back and even gets her death delayed by the ghost ship, that doesn't cut it. You need something bigger than that. You know your Tide can't do anything to the BKBs. Once this BKB is popped on the Kunkka, once the Rage is popped on the Lifestealer, Mind Control's just running in circles in the fight and has nobody to ravage, nobody to go on. And that's why that Chrono has to be better. It has to be on the right targets and with better vision than what they had there.
Just felt like he was going to get a little bit more of EG, but now EG had the Aegis Immortal and Assault Cuirass as well, both on the same hero, the Lifestealer. So the auras are really starting to arrive. Sumail's actually going to be the first one to build into the Hex. This will be over on the Kunkka.
I like that a lot. Getting this utility, he has a lot of damage in his teammates. This is not the kind of game where Kunkka needs those big cleaves just yet. Lifestealer has a lot of damage. Lina, Centaur, quick rage.
Actually moves back in to farm the wave and then dodges the arrow.
Why not? We already raged.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
How fast can you spam we?
Well, he does play Rocket League.
Does he? Ooh! Hi S4. Bye S4.
At least he used to. I think he's actually pretty good at it. He played it a lot on his stream in the past.
Well, he's
Very
got
fitting hero for that.
transferable skills in esports. Looks like EG will finally be able to push down this mid lane coming together. They don't have S4 with them, however, but there are 4 heroes together. Because EG's always having to deal with their side lanes because of Tinker. Like, we are, like, these 2 big fights that have happened which have just gone the way of EG. We still didn't die. He was still pushing out the side lanes. This Tinker is 4-1. And the one was pretty early on.
There's still a way to go, though. He's going Kaya Yasha. So still will be so far away from any big damage. No Hex, no Axe, no Dagon.
It's like the opposite of everything we've been seeing in TI. It's like, hey, we got a Chronosphere. Here's the damage. Here's the volley. We build Aghanims first on Tiny to reach this point.
And I got a Chronosphere. I have move speed.
But it's just when you just say like Liquid believe later in the game they can take this, because that feels like that's the way Weeha is itemizing for this.
Oh,
I can say, okay, we're playing for 80 minutes, 90 minutes.
Maybe not that much.
Maybe he's got a compendium prediction.
But I honestly think Liquid's game plan doesn't really come online
Well,
until in
Arteezy,
15 minutes.
He walks underneath the tower. He didn't see them. They were covered inside the Moonlight Shadow, but Arteezy will just rage up and
So
armlets away. Cole?
he has 46 armor with armlet
Radiant's
activated,
bottom tower is under
or
attack.
something like that. It was a high number. Over 40. I'll spoil that much for you.
S4's going to
And then
finish the bottom
bottom
tower.
Yeah.
Has fallen.
Easily done. And it really does feel like they're still buying more time. Miracle's building into the MKB as fast as he can. Looking for this straight up damage. Arteezy, he knows how tanky he is. Mind Control's waiting up on the hill. The rest of EG, they're in the trees, ready to fight. Arteezy the front liner. And then, well, S4 blinked in looking for his own opportunity. And Mind Control picked up by the Torrent. Arteezy, remember, he's just here for the tower. They don't want to fight underneath the Martian machines. EG want to fight on their terms.
They got the 2 towers they wanted. They have good vision placed out. And now the challenge is to get the top area. Get these 2 top towers, get the enemy triangle area so Tinker can't farm that, further limiting the space of Liquid. They're waiting for a move right now. They would love to jump them in the mid lane because that's a great access point to get up to top after they get a pick off. But for now, Liquid are not falling for it.
No.
Arteezy is just going to farm.
What do? Weeha just keep re-arming, blinking down the lane, just keeps creep skipping out everything. And EG can't keep up with him. Like, he just keeps going. He not only did he nuke the one wave, he then blinked 5 times to reach the second, and now he goes all the way at the base to reach the third. Doing this in the grand span total of maybe 10 seconds?
Something like that.
Yeah. It's crazy the speed he's able to achieve.
It's the Yashakaya, man. He moves so fast. It's totally not the Rearm Blink Dagger.
Stampede is out.
Okay.
Mind Control, he's already leaving.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Man, EG. Maybe a misclick, but also maybe they're just really itching for a fight. They've had this Aegis the Immortal. The tower's been taken, and Liquid have done a good job just to avoid it and find the farm on the course. MKB is now done.
It's just the way Weeha's playing. I love the way he's playing. He's making the right decisions. It's debatable if this is the ideal item build, but his playstyle with it is absolutely correct. Like, you keep skipping waves, you keep buying time.
Now he's going to go for
Stay
the
out of
X.
harm's way.
He's going to start finding the disable in a bit.
Void
And it
with
always-
KB.
Like, how do you fight this if you're EG? You want to push, you got an Aegis, but you're always on your side lanes.
It's hard to go high ground. You kind of have to map control.
Someone
primarily.
see that courier. Someone see that courier.
Oh my
It's got
God.
so much money, and look who's coming over in the Moonlight Shadow. They won't see it up on the trees, but if they do, Sentry Ward, if Kuro, no
Radiant
Observer
are
Ward.
scanning.
Oh, if Mind Control knew this.
It's so close.
See it here?
He
saw it, he saw it.
They pinged it. If this thing dies, look at the money. They're waiting for someone to come over. It's going to be the Lina. She'll die quickly, but the courier feels like the bigger one. Weeha's going to find it. He'll fortify up. Weeha, you know he wants to chase this. He'll blink into the trees. He has to re-arm and blink again over the small area. Kill the couriers. One more up through the trees. Keep chasing into the base. No, okay. It's worth a lot, but maybe not that much.
That would have been a really big kill. It has almost 2 full hearts on it. Centaur's heart is, I think, yeah, it's completed when he gets the courier. And the heart for Lifestealer is also completed once he gets to the secret shop. So, and those are the items. You want that item against Tinker. It is the item in a lot of games. Just raw health. Tinker has no percentage-based damage, so getting max health is very effective against this hero. And when you look at the rest of Liquid, there's actually nothing that does percentage-based damage compared to, say, the Feast of Lifestealer, which scales very well against tankiness items like that. Like Ogre mid.
Yeah, they're going to have a bit of a crack over towards S4. Stampede will get him away to safety. Weeha, he knows he can keep up with him, but doesn't want to do it. The hilarious thing is to, like, GH has now also gone for the Aghanim Scepter with a blink. He's moved off building Greaves. How much wave clear does Team Liquid really need? They've got it in droves. You lose one, there's another 2 heroes to replace you for it.
Yeah, it's a good point that if one hero dies, somebody else can do the job.
Dire's top tower is under
And it's the expendable ones too. You put, like, you see Lina able to always push out side lanes. I think it was actually like AUI was the first one I remember really just cleaning up the waves from inside the tree lines. And this time you get it. Long range arrow from GH, unable to connect. Arteezy, Moonlight Shadow once again. Did anyone bring that detection? Not to the front lines at least, but sentry wards are now being placed down by Fly.
They might want to get a gem on the Centaur. He's tanky enough now.
Yeah.
He might need some armor too, though. So maybe, I don't think Centaur should buy the gem.
He's buying Shiva's next.
Who do you buy it on? Can Delina buy it? She wants to go Solar Crest. Oh, top lane. This is dangerous.
Weehast right in the trees with everybody else from Liquid who's jumping forward. It's quick to show himself. Life steal or something with the